Do it.
Good to hear that despite the weather. So I'm Mary Claire, down here to my left is Garrett. In just a few minutes, we're going to be feeding some alligators for you guys. But before we get started doing that, we got a few really quick rules we need to go over. So while we're feeding these alligators, and while you're here in our park, we're going to ask all the kids to stay off these low-wooded fences and off your shoulders. That's just so nobody falls in by accident and becomes dinner. So we're going to give you guys a chance to comply with that.
I guess she needs you.
Let's go down here and look down there, Garrett. All right, thank you for complying with that. Remember, that applies at all times. So we got down here some hungry American alligators. This smaller one I have near me is a female. She's probably about 9 feet long and 700 pounds. Looks like Garrett's got all the males down there. They're about 14 feet long and 1,000 pounds. These alligators are probably anywhere in age between about 10 and 50 years. Some of them are 60 though. Alright. So these alligators, when they do jump out of the water, are propelling themselves out of the water. Not by pushing off the creek bed, but by using their tails. Those tails are very strong and powerful, and they use those tails to swim. Those tails, by the way, are about half their body length. Right. So we're feeding these dudes are just pieces of chicken like you might get at the grocery store. Out in the wild, an alligator would probably eat something like a little bird or a little fish, or more preferably something dead. Alligators are just like the vultures of the swamp. They are scavengers and they like to eat dead things. And it's alright for them to eat dead, decomposing, gross stuff, because they have incredible immune systems. Here we go. As a matter of fact, these guys have such good immune systems that they can lose a limb and be totally fine. Even in all this gross swamp water.
You jumped up.
Actually use alligators to research antibiotics.
I made some ripples.
So if you've taken some antibiotics for a sickness in the past few years, you probably have alligators with that. Huh, buddy? So these alligators here are perfectly fine just eating these 2 buckets of chicken for all of them. An alligator only needs about 50 pounds of meat a year to survive. They can actually go an entire year without eating anything at all. That's because these guys, unlike us, do not make their own body heat. So they don't need as much energy as we do. This? Okay. Anyway, during the winter, alligators don't eat quite as much. They'll actually slow down and ruminate. Kind of like hibernating, except they don't really go to a cave somewhere and hide out all winter. Because it gets so cold, there's no heat to them, so they can't really move around or digest or do a whole lot of stuff. So they just sit there and do nothing. Come on, buddy. So these alligators can eat. You guys might not be able to see them so right up on the shore. But these alligators do have teeth. They have about, obviously, they have about 70 in their mouth at once. But an alligator will go through thousands of teeth in their lifetime. Just like a shark. When an alligator loses a tooth, the new one will grow right in. But instead of being like sharks, where one tooth just kind of pushes the other one out of the back, in alligators, it's kind of like an ice cream cone dispenser. One tooth is just kind of stacked on top of the other one, stacked on top of the other one. Somebody. Right. So this alligator here, even though he's not acting like it, can actually see me very well with this piece of chicken. Alligators can see in the dark, underwater, and in full color.
Lean over.
They actually have a pretty wide range of vision too. An alligator can see off to the sides, both to the front of the back of it and the back of its body. And they can actually focus on more than one thing at once. So to be totally honest, I have no idea what all these alligators are looking at. So it's alright for Garrett and I to see these alligators we have here, because we're zookeepers and these are no longer exactly wild animals. So we have to take care of them. But here in South Carolina, if you're caught feeding a wild alligator, you will be fined pretty heavily. And if your alligator critter is over 6 feet long, it will be put down. You can even face jail time because this is a pretty serious crime. If you start feeding people out for food. When you do that, you create a nuisance animal that can become a problem for anybody else who doesn't have a tendency to feed that alligator.
Watch it.
So we actually know how old our alligators are here in this park because all of our alligators are tagged. Some of them actually came from another gator farm that shut down in Florida about 50, 60 years ago. All of our alligators do breed and reproduce on their own. As a matter of fact, the female will lay about 70 eggs at once, and about 7 of those will survive. The heat of the alligator's eggs, the alligator's nest, sorry about that. The actual heat of the nest determines the sex of the alligator, not a chromosome. So all of those alligators up on shore there aren't incredibly hungry. Alligators
Go for
are
mommy?
opportunistic
Come on.
eaters, which means that if I were to throw a piece of chicken